I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about why emotional independence attracts your ex back.
An important topic.
It is really huge. It is so attractive when you are emotionally independent and you can show that you can handle life. And so we're going to talk about this today.
Right. Now, emotional dependence isn't always a bad thing. When it's a dependence to the point to where you can't function or where your happiness depends on someone else, then it can become a real big problem. So it's normal to depend on others, especially if you are going through something in life, going through a loss, going through some sort of crisis, and there is just a general day-to-day type of dependence that we have on our community. It's quite normal. But like in everything, in excess, a reliance on someone else can become debilitating to you and also super draining for them. So we're going to talk about this dynamic a little bit and why your emotional independence, why your confidence is so important in reattracting someone.
Yes, it's so critical, guys. I cannot tell you, when you are able to display it, it is far more likely going to make them want to come back to you because you don't feel like somebody that they have to take care of.
Right.
You know, like a child or something.
Exactly. And when you have that emotional independence, what you're really doing is learning how to self-soothe. This is one of those skills that babies who develop in a healthy environment learn, who parents teach their child by soothing them. And the kids learn how to self-soothe, how to manage their own emotions through time, right? These things take time.
Yeah. This is a skill you really have to work on while you're in no contact. This is why we're saying you have to work on yourself in no contact, right? To learn these things, and particularly the creative healing course. Like we have like 9 or 10 sets of affirmations to help soothe you. We have creative visualizations to help you calm yourself, to get to a good place. Because if you're all over the place, emotional, erratic, intense, it only turns them off. It makes you feel like you can't take care of yourself.
Right. And in the beginning of the relationship, you might not have been emotionally dependent. It's something that could have developed over time, but it can be retrained. You can go back and relearn those skills to be emotionally independent again, or maybe even for the first time in your life, become emotionally independent.
Sure.
And I'll say for your ex's perspective or for a partner's perspective from someone who's very emotionally dependent on them, it feels exhausting to be the reason for someone's happiness all the time, for somebody else's mood to be dependent on you. It can feel like a lot of pressure.
It's very unattractive. And it's hard sometimes to hear that, but it's just the way human beings are wired, where we want closeness and we want our connections, but we also don't want to feel like the person that we're with isn't a healthy adult that can handle the complexities of life. We like someone that can handle things, can, maybe not necessarily assertive, but gets things done.
Right.
And we can count on them and that they're trustworthy and dependable.
And decisive.
Yeah, because that would really impact our survival. I think evolutionary, if we're out in the wilderness, thousands of years ago, if you have someone that you can rely on to handle all the challenges that come with survival, it increases your survival. But if you have somebody that can't handle all those difficulties, then all you're trying to do is take care of them, and who's helping take care of you?
Yeah, it can be a really difficult dynamic. And this is why we advise against begging and pleading, is because it sends that message that I am dependent on you saying that we're okay. I'm dependent on you getting back into this relationship for me to be centered, for me to be okay.
I mean, how many of you begged and pleaded and look where it got you? It just makes things much worse. But at the time, it just feels like I care about you. I care about this connection so much. I'll do anything to make it work with you.
Right.
You know?
Right. For them, it feels like, oh my gosh, this person needs me and I've been trying to make this decision, but now it's 10 times harder because I can see that they're going to be completely broken if I go through with this.
They feel guilty.
Yes. There's so much involved on their end that makes them feel so confused about things, rather than seeing someone who is emotionally independent and able to handle a breakup. And then the other person is left with, man, maybe I've missed out on something here. Maybe I've made the wrong decision.
You know, and a lot of this goes to our attachment issues. So sometimes you might be dating somebody and someone new comes along and maybe starts flirting with your partner at work or showing interest in your partner at work. And it's very easy for that person because they don't worry about the outcome. They don't worry if this person's not interested. They flirt, they toss it out there, you know, they see if there's some interest, right? But you are devastated because you're afraid you're going to lose this person.
Right.
So you get anxious, you spiral out of control, you start trying to get more controlling. You're no longer your attractive self that they were attracted to. You're almost like this person that's desperately trying to stop this loss from happening for somebody who doesn't have any stake in the game.
Right.
It's tough.
It is really tough. And many of you are punching the screen right now hearing that because it is tough to hear. But having that emotional centeredness, that balance, allows us to connect better. So when we're in our head, it causes us to separate from people, and it can be really, really challenging.
When you're overwhelmed by all your emotions and feelings, it's like all you want to do is connect with them, share with your ex what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and you really feel like that's the only person you want to talk to.
Right.
But the painful realization is that it's not their responsibility anymore. And it doesn't feel fair because it's like this person that was kind of responsible, or should I say obligated, right, to be that support system for you.
When you're a partner.
Yeah. Now they don't have to do it, and it's so tough transitioning to letting it go and letting that component of your connection go.
Right. And if you're emotionally dependent on someone, they might have been your source of support for everything. Those day-to-day inconveniences that you just got to share to your partner. You might kind of have a stream of consciousness flowing out of you to your partner constantly. So not having them there to receive that, to bounce back ideas from, to depend on, can be a complete shift. I want to talk a little bit about what emotional independence looks like, just to give you an idea of the alternative and to give you an idea of what does look more confident, more attractive, more centered, and not only look better, but also feel better internally, because that's really our goal for you. So the first thing is being able to manage your own emotions without the need of excessive reassurance.
Oh, and we want that reassurance. Can we have another chance? What if we just take a few weeks apart? Can I have another chance? Will you just give us another chance if we take a few months apart, or a few days, or a few minutes?
This can be tricky
Seconds?
For us as coaches when we do coach you through things, because you might be easily influenced by everything around you. And so this can be really, really difficult, because when you're trying to stick to a plan after a breakup to repair a relationship, and you're asking 10 different people for advice and reassurance from 10 different people, you're going to get a lot of mixed answers, and you're not going to know what to do still.
Yeah,
so,
especially when there's conflicting advice out there.
Exactly. So we want you to be in that place where I know it's confusing after a breakup, but to be decisive about your approach, to stick with a plan, whatever plan you think is best for you. Of course, on our channel, we teach you what we think is best, which may or may not be what you choose to do. But, being in a place where you can be decisive, able to manage your own emotions, and not have to ask everyone all the time for direction is a more confident place to be at. Being self-reflective and self-aware, that's part of emotional independence. And that can be really, really difficult, because our anxiety can hinder that. Our brain tries to convince us, if I just get this piece of information.
If I just tell them this one thing. I know I sent them a letter, And I know I sent everything that I needed to say in that one thing. But this time I got this other thing that I know if I say it.
Right.
I mean, I had a guy today that we were talking about earlier. Did that. He sent what he wanted to say, everything he wanted to say, but didn't work, of course. And now he's like, but Craig, I know if I just say this one other thing, it's going to work.
Yeah. Self-awareness is really important. I know there's many moments through breakups. We can even recall our own moments in our own breakups where we look back and realize, man, I had zero self-awareness in that moment.
Oh, yeah. And I've talked about
like,
it. I mean, I have openly talked about it, right?
Yeah.
So many silly things that I did. Because you just, you care about somebody so much. You think you have the right plan. But we often have to do the exact opposite of what we want to do to reattract somebody.
Yeah. Yep. And that's just the reality of it. Another big component of being emotionally independent is being responsible for your own happiness and your own mood. Now, sometimes our emotions can kind of catch us by surprise, and that's natural, but how we manage it is really important. And
I'll never be happy again. Ever.
No, well, that's your responsibility.
I mean, I've had people say that to me.
And people believe that. I mean, when you're going through a breakup, that's how you feel.
Yeah.
You're so connected to this person. This person probably brought you more joy than you thought was imaginable for your life, right? Might have been more connected than with anybody ever.
Yeah.
And so you start to think, is this ever even going to happen to me again? Is this ever going to be possible? Or did I lose my one chance at happiness?
Even if you feel like that, please do not tell your ex that. It is going to put pressure on them and it's going to look very unattractive. I had a guy that I did a coaching with probably about 2 months ago. The breakup was 3 years ago. And he just told me on one of our calls, he said, it's only in the last week, I think it was like a week after our first call, it's only in this last week that I actually feel like I could be happy again.
Wow.
After 3 years.
Wow.
Right? And it was a long distance relationship that they didn't even see each other closely before she moved away. That's how overwhelming these situations can be, but you don't want to say that and put that pressure on somebody.
Right. And if you are feeling that way, it's really important to get help for yourself. This is something we talk about all the time because sometimes a breakup can, pivot you into a depression and you start to get these really negative thoughts about the future. So these things can pop up. Be aware of them, and also try to take on some responsibility for your mood. Doesn't mean you can control how you feel all the time. You're more than likely going to feel sad, and you can plan for that.
Oh, yeah.
But taking accountability, being responsible for that, and taking action to improve your mood states is really important.
The more that you work at it, and make a real effort, like a real consistent effort, the sooner you're going to process the breakup, the sooner you're going to have a lot of these aha moments that give you clarity and a lot of peace. Honestly, you get so much peace when we get clarity in those moments where you just see things and you're like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
But for those of you that aren't doing the work, you're not going to put yourself in a position to turn it around.
Exactly. Another big part of being emotionally independent is doing things for you rather than for others. Sometimes when you're really emotionally dependent, you can also be super sacrificial because you want to make the source of your happiness happy all the time. And so being able to do things for yourself is so important. And this is something we talk about in No Contact. We talk about with personal growth. Yes, an ex can be a huge motivating factor. At the end of the day, we want you to do these things for you because you will be in a better off situation. And I know during a breakup, sometimes you yourself is the last thing you're thinking about.
Yeah.
You're just so hyper-focused on getting your ex back that it can be hard to do that. So something that happens. Another sign of being emotionally independent is also being okay alone.
Big. So big. It's very attractive.
And it's something that can be so challenging when you're used to being in a partnership, or if that's the setting in which you thrive most is with someone. You feel most yourself, maybe when you're in a relationship. But being able to be okay, you don't have to love it. You don't have to even like it. But you just have to be okay with it, able to manage yourself without the need to overwhelm someone else or involve someone else to make you feel okay.
And again, this to me goes back to survival, survival instincts. When you can show that you can handle things, and part of that is being alone, that displays a strong survival that is just biologically attractive to other people. That's confident.
Right.
Who doesn't love that? It's one of the most attractive things that you can do.
Right. And I would even argue that being emotionally independent is the most authentic that you can be. Because when you're dependent on someone else, you often try to conform into who you think they want you to be rather than who you really are. And so our hope for you in this video is to inspire you towards emotional independence, whatever that looks like for you. It does show confidence. We think that it sets you up in order to repair your relationship in a better way. And it's the dynamic that you want to have while in a relationship, is independent people who can depend on each other when needed.
Okay, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.